Hello again. Thank you so much for joining me. And during this video, I am going to talk a little bit about my cancer journey. Like I said, this isn't going to be all about my cancer journey, my channel, that is. I really want to share a lot of other things with you besides just the cancer portion of it. I wanted to let all of you know just the process of what I went through, not only just to make it aware, to create awareness, but also just to encourage those of you that may have just been diagnosed, or those of you that maybe are going through a mammogram that came back irregular, or are going through a biopsy and are curious what happens from this point on. I found my cancer myself. I have a huge family history of it, not only of breast cancer, but just cancer in general. So I was pretty diligent about doing my home exams. In fact, it was, more often than not that I would be sitting in bed, my husband and I just sitting on our phones, and I'm over here, just feeling away. And I probably did that twice a week, maybe more, just feeling around. It wasn't something that I had scheduled, today's the 5th, I need to do my breast exam. It was just something I always did. And if I could encourage anybody to do that, it would be to know your breast anatomy, to just feel around, that there's lumps and there's bumps, and a lot of times that's nothing, and it's nothing, but you know where that is. So when something pops up out of the ordinary, you can question it, which is exactly what happened to me. I was laying in bed one night doing my breast exam, and I said, that didn't feel right. It was on my my right side, my right breast. It was about right here, about the 1 o'clock area. That probably looks more like 12 o'clock. It's about right here. So I said to my husband, feel this. This doesn't feel right to me. And he felt it, and he goes, yeah, it feels a little weird, but whatever. He went back to his phone, and I went back to my phone. And luckily, when I went to work the next day, I have a very wonderful coworker and friend, hi Kim, who had dealt with breast cancer. In fact, just the other day was her 4-year anniversary of when she first heard she had cancer. And I told her, I said, hey, I felt this, it felt a little strange. And she has bright blue eyes, and she looked me in the eye and she said, go get it checked. I don't care if it's nothing. It probably is nothing, but if it's something, at least you'll know early. So I called, and they immediately ordered a mammogram even before seeing me, just by hearing my age and me saying that I had felt a lump. And so I had gone in for my mammogram, and immediately they said, why don't you go wait out in the waiting room? I'm going to see if the radiologist wants to do an ultrasound. I said, okay, no problem. So I sat out in the ultrasound area and waited, and eventually they called me back to do that ultrasound. I still, at this point, thought, it's probably nothing, which in a lot of cases when this happens, it can be nothing. But I am a firm believer that ignorance is bliss. I like to walk around and be happy-go-lucky and not worry and stress about things. So I legitimately did not stress about this at all. So he said, I really want you to come back for a biopsy. This, just looks a little abnormal to me. So they fit me in the next day. And I thought, well, that's convenient that they have an appointment the next day. I still don't know if that was pure convenience or because they really wanted to get me in. I have no idea. So I came back the next day for my biopsy. They did the needle biopsy with the ultrasound, and I had to wait 4 to 5 days. Not 45, 4 to 5. So it wasn't a long process for me. I know people agonize over the results, and it wasn't for me. I literally thought this was nothing. There was something deep back in my mind that said it could be something, but I wasn't allowing that voice to come forward. Ignorance is bliss. So 4 to 5 days later, that's when I met with my doctor and the breast specialist that was referred to me. And I sat down with her, and she said, asked me about my family history. She did a breast exam. She felt the lump. And then she sat there with her paperwork and she gave a big sigh. So, and it's the words you never want to hear. If I tear up, I'm sorry. It sucks. But to hear the words, "you have cancer," is something that you just never think is going to happen to you. Of course, I thought in the back of my mind, it could happen to me. I have a large family history of it, but I didn't think it would actually happen. So it was kind of humorous. I look back on it and laugh. Of course, I'm tearing up, so that doesn't show anything, but I remember her saying it, and I just sat there and stared at her, and she stared back at me, and I stared at her, and she stared back at me. There was this moment of silence. And I was thinking in my head, she got me. I was expecting that JK afterward, or to say, "oh, I'm sorry, I have the wrong chart." And when she stared me down long enough and it soaked in long enough, that's when it hit me. And the tears, of course, started flowing. And she was just wonderful. She rubbed my back, rubbed my arm, very consoling. She handed me a Kleenex. That got ruined, handed me another Kleenex, and then finally she just says, "why don't you just take that box?" So it was obviously horrible news, but I was okay. I walked out of there and I said, "okay, I have cancer. I have cancer." I had to let that sink in. I wanted to know that. I wanted to feel that so that I knew what I would have to do next. And that was, I had to pull up my big girl panties and start fighting this. And I wanted to know, okay, how do we take care of this? Who do I need to see first? What has to happen? And she was very clear that because it was my triple positive breast cancer, it was triple positive breast cancer, that I would have to undergo chemotherapy, which was probably the most upsetting part of it all to me. I just had this fear of chemotherapy, from seeing movies and seeing people go through it in my past a long time ago. And I thought, oh no, this is gonna be really hard. But I know that I have to be positive. I have to fight this. I have to get through this. I was really open about my cancer journey. Obviously, here I am in front of you, but I wanted it to be something that people followed me through, because I wanted to be a voice that people said, "you know what? I know someone that had cancer. She had to go through that. I need to be diligent with my home exams. I need to be diligent with my mammograms. I need to be diligent with my health in general." And then shortly after that, I posted it on Facebook. And a lot of you might do that. A lot of you might not do that. But it was something that was really important for me to do. And I had overwhelming support from all of my friends on Facebook. People I haven't talked to in years were reaching out to me saying, "hey, anything I can do to help." And that meant the world to me. There's some of you that might want to keep that private. You want to keep that to yourself. You don't want other people to know. And that's okay too. Please don't try to take my advice by putting it out there. I'm one of those people that wanted it out there. So please, if you are a private person, don't put it out there. But the overwhelming support really helped me through the process. And I will forever be grateful for all of those people that reached out to me and just offered me dinner, to bring dinner by, or positive words of encouragement. And it meant the world to me. So again, this is just the beginning part of my cancer journey that I want to share with you. But I do want to say that I did get I had port surgery, which you can see right here. And during that port surgery, my lung was nicked. I didn't know for 2 days that it had collapsed until I went to the emergency room and found that out, to where I had a chest tube placed. I just wanted to tell you that. I don't want to scare any of you, but I want you to know my experience with it. would I get the port again? 100% yes. Through my treatment, I would get that. It was crucial through all of it to not have to have those IVs, because you get poked a lot. But part of that process that I wanted to share with you is, and this is the part where I'll get really teary. Sorry, this part's gonna be hard to get through, but my family and I, and my brother's family and my dad had rented a cabin out in the woods on August 19th. August 15th, I was released from the hospital after my lung collapsing. They were able to remove the chest tube and sent me home and told me that the next day I could still go to my first round of chemo, which I was unbelievably excited about. I thought, yes, I get to go to chemo, which sounds really weird, but I was really excited to start that journey and just get this thing out of my life. So I had my first round of chemo on August 16th. August 19th is when we went up to the mountains. Let me just take a little sip of my coffee here. And with my dad and my brother's family and my family. Unfortunately, on August 20th, during a river rafting accident, my dad drowned and passed away. Darn it, I shouldn't have put eyelashes on. Why would I do that? Sorry. But I feel like this is an important thing for me to share with all of you so that you know my process. My dad was my number one supporter in my life, and I lost him. Let's just go ahead and take that off. I lost him right in the beginning of my cancer journey, which sucked. It sucked really bad, but it happened. And I knew that from that point on, I had to fight even harder because I knew deep down that he would want that from me. And so I would get up every day, and even if you feel like crud, I got up every single day and said, I need to fight this. I need to fight this. And my dad would want me to fight it with a smile on my face. And so I did. I'm sorry for crying so much. But like I said, I had a hard journey, and not that anybody else doesn't, but going through chemo and grief at the same time is quite difficult. And I just want all of you to know that I got through it. I made it through it. And no matter what the circumstances that you have, you can get through it. You wake up every day and you fight and you push and you push, and even though you feel like crap, you put a smile on your face and say, at least I'm alive and I'm kicking and I'm gonna make it through this. Note to self, I should have put some Kleenex by me during this, but I did not. Okay, I feel a little bit better. Talking about my dad is probably the hardest thing that I'll talk about on my channel, and it's out there now, so I don't have to worry about it anymore. But like I said, I just want to encourage you to wake up every single day and fight. Fight for your life. That's what you're doing. Fighting for your life. And that doesn't make sense to you until you're going through something like this. I always saw the stickers or whatever that said, you know, cancer warrior or to fight cancer, and it didn't make sense to me until I went through it. And it is a fight because you do have to push yourself through it. Every day is hard and you have to make the most of it. And I just want to encourage you to make the most of every single day, that you will get through this, and trust your doctors, put your trust in them, and just fight and fight and fight harder. With that being said, I'm gonna end this video because, well, I don't think that I need to say anything else. But thank you for watching. Bye-bye. and letting you know why I'm even starting a YouTube channel. As you can tell by my hair, I mean, I'm hoping you don't think I shaved it this way. Not that there's anything wrong with that, just not the choice for this face.